All right. Let's do it live. Draft week. We are here, locked in. My guys, Jesus, Carlos, Griffin. Oh, we got the hat, Griffin. Very cool. I love it. Hit me with a pic. Twitter, you're my guy. Appreciate you guys coming in. Do me a favor as you come in. Hit that like button. Keep this thing cranking. Thinking we might do a few lives this week. Got the draft coming up. Who doesn't love a good post-draft live? Chris, boom. Double fisting over here, but not necessarily in a good way. Oh, man. That's cold coffee, too. That's the way it is. All right. I'm excited. There's lots of ball to talk about, so we're going to be locked in here. If you have questions, as always, the absolute best time to do it is boom, right away, right now. Get it in. We got my man Phil checking in from Ottawa. Love it. CFL style. Appreciate you. Thanks for letting me know where you're at as well. I appreciate all the support. I do love the lives. The lives probably post Super Bowl and post draft are my favorite lives. Not that I don't love a random Tuesday live, day off live, but I do enjoy the big lives after big events. So it should be fun. Jesus, Trey has major upside, so trading him, big mistake. I don't know why you would trade. Well, I do know why you would trade Lance. I wouldn't trade Trey Lance if I were the 49ers. But again, I probably wouldn't hand the job to Brock Purdy either. So I'm sure they're not going to necessarily reach out to me for my opinion. But I still think that there's a lot to like about Trey Lance. Obviously needs to play. Obviously needs to be healthy. Thank you, Captain Obvious. But, if I'm another team in the league and I liked him at all coming out, I'm inquiring, see what we can do to make that happen, because I still think young dude, big upside, certainly needs to play, though. That's for sure. Coffee with Coach. What's good, sir? If you're a GM, do you draft to fill a hole or pick the best player? I think it depends. Early on, I think it's for sure. Well, I probably would lean towards pick the best player all the time. I think occasionally, depending on how good of a team you are and you have a glaring hole, sometimes you can lean towards that. I think over the long haul, everyone should probably say pick the best player. That's just not reality all the time. So I probably would hope that I would lean that way, but I'm probably not as confident to say that I would always do that. Oh, Chris Evans, bro, you're hitting me right where it counts with the Soto talk. We'll see soon enough, hopefully. He's picked up a little bit. Zoe HSP, what school do you coach at? I coach at no school. I coached some San Diego football as a high school head coach for a few years, but stopped a couple years ago. 21 was my last year. Is that right? No. 20? No, 21. Is that right? Whatever. Didn't coach in the fall. What year is it? Yeah, 21. A lot of mental gymnastics there. I changed where I keep my comments, so I feel like I'm a little bit out of whack in my normal setup, but we're going to try it out today. So if you have questions, now is the time. We'll talk some ball. RC Plane Builder 2. Any chance Will Levis goes in the second round? It sure doesn't sound like that from the little talking heads that I've heard. In fact, it sounds like he's moving up most people's boards. Would I be shocked if he went in the second round? Probably. Just because you look over the course of, some of the guys in the past that have dropped a little bit or dropped significantly, maybe not all the way to the second round, just because those guys, so many people want to get quarterbacks that fifth-year option. So, but it sounds like he's, isn't he got the best odds to go number 2 overall now? So maybe they got special film that we don't have. Griffin, when you called plays, did you tether the concept and protection together under one verbiage, and why? Ooh, I don't know what that means. Let me read that again. But my man, Tat Badger coming in hot with the super chat. Got to jump ahead. Come hit me back, Griffin, with the verbiage talk. Do you think Anthony Richardson can be that super weapon quarterback for the Raiders if he falls to them? Asking as a Raiders fan. I think he can be a super weapon wherever he falls, depending on how this thing shakes out. If this is probably not what you want to hear, T-Badge, but I don't necessarily, the little I know, Josh, I'm not sure that a young guy who has what I think most people would classify as there will be some growing pains. I think he's a more natural thrower than maybe people think. I think his film is probably better than people think. I love his pocket movement and obviously his athletic ability, his explosiveness. I just don't know. When I think of Josh's system, I think of, a ton of them just carrying a high volume of offense. It's different than a lot of other offenses, in my opinion. Not that it's different bad, it's just different. And so for a young guy who hasn't played a lot to go into that type of system, I think it would take a lot of Josh to adapt and fine-tune and carve to make him be as successful as he possibly could. Not to say that he couldn't. I mean, the guy drafted Tim Tebow, right? Like, he obviously thinks he can adapt and do that, but that's not necessarily the place, if I was Anthony Richardson, that I would want to go into and be like, yeah, this is the offense. This is the dude that I want to be around for the next 10 years. That's just me, though. Maybe he's changed. Maybe it's a perfect marriage, but from the outside looking in, not necessarily what I would hope. I think, honestly, if I'm a Raiders fan, I would probably most hope for CJ Stroud, just because I think he fits the bill for what Josh has had success with in the past, with certain guys that are elite from the pocket, being accurate. And CJ Stroud is a really good player across the board, but that's kind of where I would lean. I don't really do the whole the mock thing very often, but I can a little bit more with Josh just because I've seen the kind of intestines of that stuff, and it's a lot, in my opinion. All right, what else we got here? Joey, Levis is now the favorite to go 2. Why do teams like him much more than Stroud? I don't know. I don't have any understanding of why that change has happened. I think, well, you could make the case for Levis with the system that he ran. Okay, being a little bit more pro-centric than what I think people often think about Ohio State. Ohio State being the supporting cast is better. The system is a little bit more college-y, spready. The first guy's going to be there type thing, as opposed to getting blasted in the pocket all the time, playing a more Sunday game on Saturday. But I think if you look at the film, CJ Stroud's film is significantly better than anything Will Levis has put out consistently, in my opinion. Just me. Broderick, who would you bet pans out, Will Levis or Anthony Richardson? Okay, so this is the part that is tough for people to, for me, I feel like I don't do a good enough job explaining or describing. So much of this has to do with context and organizations and luck, where you end up, as opposed to how good you are. I mean, at this point, you would ask, 10 different people, they'd probably give you an order of 10 different of the quarterbacks, the order being 10 different ways for what the top 10 quarterbacks look like in this draft class. So much of it is going to be dependent on where you go, what that staff looks like, the success that they've had, the stability, the coaching staff, the play calling, the talent around you, the organizational stability. And so all of that matters. If you go to, what's a low-hanging fruit here? If you go to the Cardinals, it's probably not going to be historically a great situation for you to thrive. Maybe that changes with the new regime. If you go to the Texans, historically hasn't been necessarily the greatest situation to thrive. If you go, there are many teams at the top of the draft you could put that under. As opposed to if you go to Carolina, I think Carolina's a pretty good situation right now to thrive in. Those types of things, I think that's where it matters. Context matters. So we'll see. Justin, long last name. Any good resources on Duo? Yeah, I know a great clinic and course. I think there's probably a bunch of great clinics out there. My way is not the only way to run Duo. I do like it though. George, do me a favor as you all come in, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Quarterback School Patreon community as well. You know about it. Hats. Go get yourself some, all the good stuff. We'll keep this thing going, taking questions, talking some ball here as we lock in to the draft this week. George, what was I going to say? Where is it? What do you use to help with quarterback reads, film or drills? If drills, which one? Obviously, all of the above is probably the correct answer. If you want to know specifically the drills that I most often did when I was coaching and calling plays, it was simply drop progressions. It was drops, first of all, teaching the timing and rhythm of what the drops look like with the concepts, the intent of the play, but then just going through the progressions on air. So take your drop. What's the first read? Let's throw it. What's the second read? Let's throw it. Who are we reading? Let's read that defender. Where's number 3? Where's the check down? And just constantly repping that. And really, that's what we did the most of in individual all year. Good question, though. Ba-boom. Chris Evans, I'm surprised DTR hasn't gotten much love this offseason, other than from you. I've seen him get some love every once in a while. I know he's not there yet, but his play style seems like what you look for in a modern quarterback. Who's the best team for him to go to? Probably somewhere that matches what I consider his type of play as a little bit more dually guy. So anywhere with a dual threat guy, I think of like Philly, Baltimore, Chicago. I'm sure there are other ones that I'm not thinking of where he could kind of be inserted into if he had to play immediately and kind of take advantage of what his kind of stronger skill set is right now as he continues to develop a more consistent, from the pocket thing. Cal Bear coming in hot with the old jokes. I like it. Do you want to be involved with a pro team either as a scout or coach? No, thank you. Seems glamorous, but toll on family. Yeah, I don't know what part of it necessarily seems glamorous. I guess it seems glamorous to people from the outside in because you're part of the league, and there is some part of it, that is cool. Ba-boom. Joe coming in. Ba-boom. You always hear about the best to never make it. Were there any quarterbacks you played with against in college that you thought were going to be good in the NFL quarterbacks that didn't pan out for whatever reason? Ooh, Joe. Joe, let's see if you remember this name. We can go just from our area back in the day. So Northern California, me coming out high school, I was maybe at best the 4th best quarterback to come out of my high school area my year. Okay, so let that sink in. 4th best quarterback in Sacramento to come out of college, come out of high school. Got no offers, went to Division II school, non-scholarship. We had the number 1 quarterback in the nation that year in Sacramento, a guy named Randy Fasani, drafted by Carolina, I think in the 5th round. We actually had the same agent. We roomed together at the combine. Very, very good dude. Solid dude. I think he ended up like retiring after 1 year. Maybe he played a little bit his rookie year, then didn't play. He got hurt in high school and then at Stanford. I don't remember if he got hurt again at Stanford, but I feel like he was an amazing athlete, got nicked up, wasn't really probably ever the same. Another dude named Chad Elliott. God, where did Chad go? Chad went to like Arizona State coming out. And then for whatever reason, flamed out. Actually reached out to me a couple times. I don't know if we ever connected though. And then there was another guy. What was the other guy's name that went to Cal from Oak Ridge? I can see his face. Sam Clemens. Also a really good athlete. All 3 of those guys were probably significantly better athletes than I was coming out of high school. And then, just 5 years of work, you can kind of separate yourself, and some health issues and some opportunities. You go somewhere where it doesn't pan out or you don't play well enough to even get on the field, you're not going to have a chance to do it. But I always think of those guys, that group, of me being like so furious, like why the fuck are these guys getting all these offers, all these looks? And when I look back on it, they were better high school quarterbacks than I was. They maybe didn't improve as much as I improved in college. And, I took it a lot more seriously in college and did all those things. I was in a good program, all of the above. But that to me is, there's stories like that everywhere. In the league specifically, trying to think if I was ever around like a early round pick that for whatever reason didn't. There's just, the thing about the league is where guys don't pan out. And this is the part that's hard, and might be good for this group to hear. In the league, they're trying to replace you every year. So you can be so excited, right? You're going to get drafted this weekend if you're in the draft class, and it's going to be one of the best days of your life, a culmination of all your hard work. That is awesome. The next year, they will be trying to replace you. Almost everyone, unless you're like a top 5 pick, and even a top 5 pick, Look at Zach Wilson. They're replacing his ass. So you have to be comfortable with that level of competition, that level of uncertainty, volatility. That's just the job. And if you enjoy the competition and can thrive in that kind of chaos, I think you can survive a little bit longer than others. Some guys just don't love it. And that's really the truth of it, watching it from the inside. There were some guys who just didn't love that element of it, and it was too much, and they bowed out or, didn't want to keep playing for whatever reason. And so that happens all the time. There's always someone coming in to take your job in camp. And if they don't draft someone, they're bringing in an undrafted free agent guy. If they draft someone, they're definitely trying to replace your ass. And so you just have to be comfortable with that. And I think once I got comfortable with that, I realized that they can bring in anybody. I'm still going to have to compete for my job in camp, play well enough to stick somewhere, and that, get you through a decade plus. Oh, man, Gio Carmazzi, good call, Joe. Gio is another guy from the SAC area that comes to mind. All world early and just didn't work out. Well, I can even go even farther. So Gio gets drafted by the 49ers. Gio's dad was my coach in high school. Gio was a beast in high school. Jacked. Almost a little Levis-ish as far as like tight wound, but a little stiff. But an unbelievable athlete, unbelievable hooper. But yeah, go somewhere, third round. I think he got beat out by like Tim Rattay, who was like a 6th round guy. It's just part of the deal. I mean, it's just, it's one of those things where that competition thing is real. And I know it's easy for people to say, or I love to compete or all that shit. Yeah, okay, until it's fucking March and you got to do it every year, or until it's, August and you're getting 1 rep a period and you got to compete with someone for a job. Okay. So it's just that is different, and it's not everybody loves it as much as they think they'll love it, or want to thrive in that environment, or know how to get themselves ready, or can elevate to the level that you have to. That's the other part about it is, at the end of the day, one of my favorite things about playing in the league was it was, for the most part, extremely merit-based. There's no fucking nepotism on that roster. There's no, there's no kid's dad playing quarterback. There's no kid's dad playing middle linebacker. The best of the best are on those rosters. If you're good enough, there will be a spot for you. And I think once I kind of took that, hey, if I'm good enough, even if it's not this team, I'm going to be somewhere. And so that kind of allowed me to be a little bit more comfortable. Never got comfortable, but a little bit more comfortable with just the fucking volatility of everything. Like, this was one of my least favorite weekends of the year because they're replacing your ass this weekend. They are. So you better embrace it. All right, ba-boom, right to the face, Joe. I need to get that new 394 too. Daniel Kent. What were your biggest strengths and weaknesses as a player? Give us your scouting report. I think my scouting report is probably out there somewhere. I will tell you this. I think I've told this story before on the channel, but I'll tell it again right here. John, I see you. Boom. Appreciate you. I'm going to give you just the biggest strength story, Daniel, because we'll keep it positive. I would think I was in Detroit, and I was the backup or just about to take over the backup job. Mike Martz pulled me into his office. He liked to coach the quarterbacks one-on-one. And so he asked me, what do you think your biggest strength is? And I think I said accuracy, and he started laughing, which actually, this is in San Francisco. He started laughing, and I'm like, oh, all right, what is it? And he's like, it's your vision. So you can see things earlier than most. And I thought that was a nice compliment. And I thought it was true, and maybe it was true because it became kind of in the forefront of my mind for the rest of my time. But just being able to, I think that there's a level of validation that comes for quarterbacks who, when you come off to the sideline and the coach goes, hey, what did you see on this? And you go, hey, it was closed man, and our guy slipped, and I tried to fit it in, but it wasn't there, so I checked it down. And then they go back and look at the picture and the film, and everything that you say is correct. That's pretty good. And to be able to do that consistently, that's where I think vision, communication really matters for a quarterback. Now, you still have to be able to throw it where you want to throw it and not throw it to the other team and all those types of things that go with playing the position. But that, to me, was probably what I took for the second half of my career, is just being able to know what I was seeing and be confident in what I was seeing, and know that I put in the preparation to know where the ball's supposed to go. But boom. John, all right. My guy, appreciate you. JT, thanks again. Who are your favorite NFL head and assistant coaches, and maybe some that were underrated we don't know about? Ooh, favorite head coaches. Stuff out there. My favorite head coach that I was around, and I wasn't around him very much, and this is not like fucking breaking news, so sit down, was probably Belichick, just because it was so different than anything I had ever been around. I was with Hazlitt, I was with Sherman, I was with Tice, I was with Childress, I was with Lovey, and those guys, not that they're bad guys, they just weren't, none of those guys, this is a nice way to say it, exceeded my expectations like Bill did. And it was really the attention to detail and just kind of the constant just striving to get better that I loved. Now, I was only there for 8 weeks-ish. If I was there for 8 years, that might get to be a lot. But I really enjoyed it just because it was such a change up. Who was I with after that? Marvin. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Norv a little bit. He's more, he was kind of like that dual guy, the head coach, play caller, assistant coaches, quarterbacks wise, guys that are still in the league that you would know. I don't know where Shane Day is now, but he was the quarterback coach in San Diego, or for the Chargers most recently. He was one of my kind of favorite under the radar assistant coaches. There are a lot of good like running back assistant coaches, but half of that job I really think is babysitting. It's less, they're not necessarily telling you how to run, hopefully. But quarterback coaches, it's a little bit, the quarterback thing is strange because everybody thinks it's the pipeline to the head coaching, the play calling position. But really, most quarterbacks are coached by committee. And what I mean by that is, especially if you have an offensive head coach, he's going to be part of the committee. If you have your offensive play caller, coordinator is going to be part of that committee. Your quarterback coach, you probably have an assistant quarterback coach. So you've got like 4-ish voices in there. And then you've got backups that are also pseudo coaches. And so, all those types of things. I'm trying to think. Many of the coordinators were really good people. I really enjoyed my time around Mike McCarthy as an offense coordinator because he was my first offense coordinator. I felt like he taught me the most about professional offense that was transferable to all different types of systems. So if you ever hear me on the channel say like, this is how I would do it, this is how it's done most often, this is how it's done other ways, that's because that's how they would talk about it. Like, hey, if you don't work out here, this is, this is a professional thing, and like this is how it works. And I just appreciated that approach to it, to being able to speak more than just your own language. I thought helped me better understand and made me appreciate coaches. And that's kind of what I tried to do when I was coaching. I would say like, hey, we call this whatever, popsicle, and it's smash for most places. It's a locked hitch and a corner. We call it popsicle. When you go play in college, they'll probably call it smash. They'll probably have a number for it. Those types of things that allow you to better understand ball that I thought my favorite coaches did, so that I tried to do with the players that I coached, if that makes sense. Boom. Mighty Mac 21. What are the perks of signing up to Patreon? Well, not only do you become a patron to the channel and support it, but you also usually get significantly longer content. So if you enjoy the content on the on YouTube channel, the Patreon stuff is usually a little bit longer, a little bit more raw, kind of like what it's like in an NFL quarterback room, a little bit more R-rated as well. Griffin, all right. One of your plays, East Tear Seahawks. Oh, there you go. I don't know where you saw that one, but good for you. Did you tether the pass pro concepts to the Seahawks? Did you use words or numbers for pass pro? Good question. So I've been in systems that do all of the above. That play specifically, you're talking about East Tear Seahawks. East is the formation, Tear is the motion, Seahawks is the concept and the pass protection. So most drop back, let's see if that's right. Most passing concepts were bucketed in a category so that the offensive line knew, hey, if I hear Seahawks, Seahawks is in the whatever category, and that means this kind of pass protection. So, for instance, the Seahawks fell into our NFL bucket. NFL buckets were 5 people out, 5-man pass protection. And so that's how they knew what the pass protection was. And then based on the type of Seahawks signal that I gave to the entire team, they would know which way the pass pro was turned. So I could do the signal on either side, and that would dictate where the declaration for the offensive line would go. Hope that makes sense. Boom, Jason. There you go. I think there's definitely a lot of fields on the Patreon. J. Coop, is it harder to fix lower body mechanics or upper body mechanics if you're having accuracy issues? I definitely think it is. I definitely think it's easier to fix lower body mechanics. It's not easier to fix either, but it's easier, in my opinion, to fix lower body mechanics. I really, really try hard not to mess with the stroke of a quarterback unless there's a significant hiccup. I can only think of one quarterback I ever coached where I really made an emphasis on trying to fix the stroke, meaning the arm action, and it didn't go well, so I don't recommend it. I know that I personally fixed my stroke or changed my stroke a number of times, probably stupider things that I did, and I did a lot of dumb stuff. It ended up evolving back to what it was originally, so it was really just a lot of wasted time. I also think that the lower body mechanics can have a quicker, bigger impact in your improvement. So there you go. Mighty Mac 21. I'm working as a student coach for a JUCO right now. Good for you, man. That's a grind. Good luck. And want to be able to coach eventually. When starting to really learn the passing game, where should I begin? Mighty Mac, you are in the right spot. I would also just reach out and build your network of coaches. That sounds like such a clinic cliche bullshit thing to say, but clinic with your coaches. So ask them questions, set aside time, clinic with coaches in your area, build that network, go to clinics, be that dude at the bar with the polo, just talk ball with as many people as you possibly can. There's a lot of good resources out there online as well. You've obviously found this one. Not the only one by any means. Richard, did you enjoy your time in Minnesota? Eden Prairie, Old Chicago. Extended stay. Yeah, it was fun. It was interesting. I mean, it was right after that boat fiasco, so I came in right after that. It was a unique team. Brad Johnson was playing. Culpepper had just gotten hurt. I wouldn't say we were like the most talented group in the world, but there were some good players on that team. It was definitely an interesting vibe with Tice as the head coach, just different than maybe what I'd been used to at other places. And then certainly with the change to Childress, that was interesting. It's not my vibe either. Mike, lots of things, dude. Question, Richard. Oh man, we're talking a lot of Vikings. Question on the Vikings, their scheme and what Kevin O'Connell would look for in that offense. What QB? Oh man, bro, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't, I guess I don't. Y'all will have to forgive me that I just don't think in organizational scheme like that. Like I don't have the capacity or care that much about knowing what each team is doing scheme wise to be able to say who's who with as far as the best fits. The guys at the top of the draft could fit in any system. That doesn't mean that they would probably thrive, that they wouldn't thrive in some systems more than others. That meaning, if I was Anthony Richardson, would I rather go and play at Kansas City or Tennessee? I'd rather be the guy playing in Kansas City, but there's already a guy playing in Kansas City, so that's not going to happen. And so those types of things where there are only so many options. Would it be fun to be the guy who replaces Kirk Cousins potentially with that group of perimeter skill, or Justin Jefferson specifically? Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a good spot for damn near anybody. Again, I appreciate you guys as y'all come into this thing or exit. Hit the like, spread the word on this thing. See if we take a couple more. I'm going to go hoop it up today at lunch. Winston, NFL quarterback or PhD? Can it be both and PhD? Which do you feel you're more proud of these days? Which would you put first on your LinkedIn? I don't know what's first on my LinkedIn. I'm proud of both, bro. That's the best thing about it. It's not either or. That's also like a good way to look at many things, in my opinion. I probably worked harder for the NFL thing, but I probably got a lot more genetic head start in the NFL thing as well. That's not true. I was fortunate for both of them, but I think I'm equally proud. They tested different skill sets, and the PhD was just a perfect transition for post-playing life. It was like a nice bridge into something different, challenging, that I enjoyed, that I'm proud of, all the above. Thanks for asking, though. You don't get those questions on here very often. Joe, was Moss still in Minnesota? No, he wasn't there. He was there, though, the day that he cost me a playoff check with the mooning incident. I was playing in Green Bay. We won the division. Minnesota came to us, and Culpepper and Moss just destroyed us on Lambeau, at Lambeau. Yeah, I think it was probably the wild card weekend. That one hurt. That one really hurt. Michael Bennett, too, I think, had a good day. Fuck. That was tough. John, do you still throw? I threw a lot of batting practice this weekend. My batting practice is pretty good, not gonna lie. Curveball's looking good. I still throw a football like when my kids want to play catch. I don't like go out and like, hit a target or anything, or like throw to a tire or try to throw over a mountain or anything, although that would be fun. Probably more in the fall than any other time, but no, not very often anymore. Dean, S2 test thoughts times 2. Honestly, bro, no. I mean, I don't know enough about it to know how it would impact and or really care how it would impact. I can't imagine it would impact that much, other than the fact that if it just revealed some like significant learning issue, but I don't know. Just totally out of blown. It's like the least favorite part of, there's a lot of least favorite parts of the draft season, but shit like that is like right at the top of my least favorite stuff. August, how can certain personnel packages put stress on a defense? Oh man, fuck, that could be a library of videos. It depends on the level that you're at. So if you're at, I want to say college or the pros, if the offense substitutes, the defense gets an opportunity to substitute. But for instance, at the high school level, you can just fucking hockey line change. They gotta match it with you. They don't stand over the ball and stop. So at the high school level, when I was done calling plays, I was just fortunate too, because we had built up and we had a good group, like a broad selection of guys who could play offense, that we changed personnels all the time. In fact, I think I've shown it, my last personnel sheet on this channel at some point. I think we carried like 15 different personnels into our final game. So I think it's a nice way to get a lot of people playing. It's a lot of nice ways to carry a lot of people in the offensive system. If you're coaching lower levels of ball, to carry a lot of different personnels, it can put a lot of stress on a defense, because if I substitute 10 personnel for 13 personnel and you leave out your nickel defense or your light in the ass defensive front, and I have my 3 monster tight ends in, or 22 personnel, that's not great run defense for you, most likely. And so if I can get your sub package on the field with my base or my heavier group, or I can sneak an extra offensive lineman on there for goal line or something like that, you would think that we would have the size advantage across the board. So that's kind of the easiest way to do it. It puts just significant stress on a defense to match it. And lower levels of ball, a lot of teams don't have fucking nickel defense, or don't have a short yardage defense or a goal line defense where they can run 8 big bodies out there. Where you get in the league and you're going to have all sorts of different personnels to match personnels. Are they in base? Are they in sub? Are they in nickel? Are they in dime? Are they in quarter? Are they in short yardage? Are they in goal line? Are they in prevent? All those types of things matter a lot more, because you can match it. And if you see, the other part about it is, if you know what their personnel are in certain looks and certain down and distances and certain sub packages, and you get more opportunities to find the mismatch that you want. So much of the league is about finding mismatches or matches that are advantageous for you, or your best matchups. And so you can do that with different personnels to get more people on the field to take advantage of what you want to take advantage of. Boom. All right, let's do a couple more here. Matthew Hernandez. Do you think Levis is getting all this hype because he has a higher ceiling than Stroud, while Stroud has the floor on him? No. Yes or no questions are the best. I appreciate that. I know I've talked about this too at other lives, but let me reaffirm it, because I know it's just, I feel like it's become like the norm to say ceiling floor, but I really would challenge people to stop thinking in ceilings floors and think about just the holistic prospect marriage with whatever organization they're potentially going to, because ceiling floor to me is just an artificial term that isn't really accurate, because it's hard to determine where people are coming in from unless you really know where they're coming in from. Like, for me to project what someone's floor is or ceiling just feels like total bullshit to me. But maybe other people really think they can nail ceilings and floors. Boom. Richard. Wondering if teams might just punt on this year's quarterback class with eyes ahead to 24. You think those guys would justify the risk? I think Caleb Williams potentially does. I'm probably not as high on Drake May as other people. I'm certainly going to dig into Drake May after this draft, summertime. But from, I want to say, like 1 or 2 videos I've done, I think Caleb Williams is head and shoulders above. I also thought Quinn Ewers in that Alabama game, the little I saw of him before he got hurt, was pretty damn good too. I know people love Drake May, and I'm not here to say that he's not the second coming of it, but, oh, that's my signal. We got to go hoop. But for me, Caleb Williams might be that dude. But I don't know how you necessarily tank for him right away unless you're like Houston and you just, grab the best defensive player, you get as many picks as you can, and you just say, you just kind of know that that's what you're going to do. But even then, it's hard for me because haven't they fired their coach like the last 2 years? So I don't know. All right, that's it, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging to the end. Appreciate you. Hit the like on the way out, hanging out, all that good stuff. We're going to do some more lives this week, so be ready. I appreciate it. Have a good one.